Hi, you're listening to Anonymous Stories, honest confessions without judgment. If you have a story of your own, you can share it with us anonymously. Thank you for trusting us and for sharing your stories with us. Enjoy listening.
I'm married to a man who never really chose me. This is my first marriage. For him, it's his second. His first wife died in a car accident. They were married for 5 years. They loved each other. Planned to have a child. Never got the chance. After her death, he lived like a machine for years. Work, home, church, no emotions, no real life. We met 3 years later. He seemed calm, collected, a bit distant, but not cold. I knew about his loss. I respected it. I didn't compare myself to her. I believed he had processed his grief and moved forward. We dated for 1.5 years, then lived together for a year, then he proposed. Everything felt stable, not passionate, but solid, like we were building something real. I loved him. He said he loved me. Now I'm not sure. We've been married for 6 years. We have a child. Our son is 4. We own an apartment. My husband is caring, responsible, present. From the outside, a normal family. But recently, I saw his phone. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't looking for anything. The screen was open, and I saw a chat with an AI. At first, I didn't even understand what I was reading. Questions like, what do you do if after your loved one dies, you can't love your new wife? Is it possible to love someone else after your soulmate has died? Is it normal to be married again, but still love the one who passed away? I kept reading. There was a question about lucid dreaming, how to make yourself dream about a deceased loved one. There were image prompts. What would our child look like? The AI generated pictures. A child that looked like him and his first wife. Not me. Not our son. Our son is 4 years old, and he's imagining a child with another woman, even if she's dead. At first, I felt numb, then angry, then empty. I realized I had been living with someone who wasn't emotionally with me. I was there. I gave birth to his child. I built a home, and all this time, he was asking how to love me. The worst part? He's not a bad husband. He doesn't drink. He doesn't cheat. He doesn't disappear. He does everything right. But I feel like a replacement. A woman who was simply available when he couldn't be alone. I'm not just hurt for myself. I'm hurt for my son. Because I don't know who my husband truly loves, him or the child that never existed. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to talk to him. I don't know if I can forgive something he doesn't even see as betrayal.
I recognized her immediately, even though 32 years had passed. Some people don't change in your memory. The world around them does. Wrinkles, hairstyles, clothes. None of that matters. There are faces you don't recognize with your eyes. You recognize them somewhere deeper. In your chest. In the place that never fully heals. I was with my family. She was with hers. And still, in that moment, I was completely alone. We met when we were 20. I lived in a dorm back then, worked evenings, studied during the day. I didn't have a car. I didn't have money. I didn't have a proper future. All I had was stubbornness and the belief that if I worked hard enough, life would eventually open up. She came from a different world. A wealthy family. A home where money wasn't counted at the grocery store. Where parents already knew which university you'd attend before you finished school. Where the future wasn't a question. It was a plan. We met by accident and fell in love against logic. She laughed easily, not loudly, freely. She looked straight at you, spoke simply, and next to her, I always felt either better than I was or painfully aware of the gap between our lives. We walked together in the evenings, talked about nothing and everything, books, films, how someday things would be different. I never told her how ashamed I felt of my poverty, but she knew. And she never pretended it didn't matter. The problem wasn't love. The problem was reality. Her parents knew about me, and one look was enough. They never said no outright. They said it quietly, politely, through pauses, through questions about prospects, through phrases like, "You're a good guy, but..." I wasn't the man they wanted next to her. I remember the night she told me we had to break up. She cried. I did too. But we both understood. This wasn't a choice of the heart. It was a choice of life. I didn't know how to fight systems back then. I only knew how to work. We broke up the right way. No drama, no mess, as if this was how it was supposed to be. And that was the most painful part. There was no one to blame. I got married a few years later. To a good woman. Calm, reliable. We built a house, raised a son. I became the normal man everyone expects. Responsible, stable, adult. I loved my wife. In my own way, I respected her. I cared for her. But every single day, everyone, I thought about her. Not as a fantasy. As a reference point. I imagined who she'd become, how she'd laugh, how she'd age, what she'd look like if life had gone differently. Those thoughts didn't stop me from living. They simply existed, like background noise. I never searched for her, never wrote, never checked. I was afraid of ruining what I had, and maybe I was afraid to find out she was perfectly happy without me. 32 years passed. We met on vacation, a resort. Sun noise. Children, families, a coincidence too absurd to believe. I saw her from behind. And that was enough. She turned around, and the world narrowed to one face. I realized nothing had ended. It had only been postponed for decades. We didn't rush toward each other. No scenes, no dramatics. We just looked. For too long. Too carefully. She recognized me too. We talked. A little. Carefully. Like adults who have lost too much to allow impulsive choices. She was married. She had children. So did I. We didn't talk about love. We talked about life. But between every sentence hung everything we didn't say. That evening, I sat next to my wife, looking at the sea, and for the first time understood you can live a correct life and still remain faithful to one feeling. I didn't leave. She didn't either. We went back to our lives and became memories again. But now I know this. Sometimes a person doesn't become your past. They become the quiet background of your entire life. And that is the heaviest thing to carry.
I came home early and found another man in my house. I went away for the weekend with friends, like I always do. I never take my wife. They don't like her, she doesn't like them. That's been normal for us. I never thought it was a problem. Friday was fine. Saturday, I got into a big fight with my friends. I lost my temper and went home. I was supposed to come back Sunday. There was another man in my house. Not messages. Not suspicion. Not guesses. He was right there. My wife didn't panic, didn't scream, didn't pretend nothing was happening. She calmly said, "Please wait until he leaves, then we'll talk." I was furious, completely out of control. The worst part, 2 years earlier I had cheated on her myself. Stupidly, one time. She found out, there was a fight, then talks, then forgiveness. At least, that's what I thought. After that, she constantly suspected me. Every trip with friends, accusations, every late night, interrogation. I was angry. Told her she was paranoid, said I wasn't seeing anyone. And that was true. After that mistake, I never even thought about cheating again. Turns out, she was the one in another relationship. When the man left, we talked. She spoke calmly, no drama. She said she was tired of me. That she didn't feel loved, that I always chose my friends, that I was constantly dissatisfied, that we had sex once a month, if that. Then she said something that shocked me. She said she wasn't leaving only because if she did, I wouldn't survive on my own. I was studying, I earned less. I couldn't afford rent, work, and school at the same time. She decided to wait until I finished my studies, and then leave. I felt betrayed, angry, humiliated. I thought she was fake, that she had been lying the whole time. A week passed. I calmed down, and I started thinking. She forgave my cheating. She never threw in my face that she earned twice as much. She didn't demand gifts. She didn't pressure me. And me? I chose my friends over her. I was never satisfied. I barely touched her. At some point, it hit me. The strange thing isn't that she cheated. The strange thing is that she stayed so long. I decided to fight for us. Not out of pride, not fear. I just understood that if it ended then, it would be the fair result of my actions. For 6 months, I tried again. Learned to listen. Learned to be home. Learned to be a husband, not a convenient roommate. 5 years have passed. I finished my studies, got promoted. We have a son, we're a family. Not perfect, but real. And only then did I understand one simple thing. A family is work. And back then, I almost got fired.
My friend searched for proof of cheating so obsessively that she eventually found it. She has always been jealous, not the mild kind, extreme, constant, uncontrolled. I didn't hear this from others. I watched it happen. She checked her husband's phone regularly, not once in a while, every day, when he slept, when he showered, when he stepped out. If his phone had a password, she demanded it. If he changed it, a fight started. She called him from unknown numbers, pretended to be other women, flirted, suggested meeting up, recorded the calls, analyzed every word afterward. She searched his belongings, jacket pockets, backpack, car, bags, always saying the same thing. I just want to be sure. She was hunting for evidence. A condom, a receipt, a hair, a smell, anything. I told her more than once this wasn't normal, that if someone wants to cheat, they will, that these checks only destroy relationships. She got angry, said I didn't understand, said it was better to know the truth than live in ignorance. Then she came up with what she thought was a clever plan. She took my perfume, the one I wear all the time, and sprayed it on her husband's jacket. Not too much, just enough to be noticeable. Then she waited calmly for him to come home. Her plan was simple. Watch his reaction. See if he panics. See if he lies. See how he explains himself. She was sure she'd catch him in a lie. But that's not what happened. He walked in, she hugged him, said, "You smell like another woman," and waited. He didn't deny it, didn't act confused, didn't accuse her of paranoia. He sat down and said, "Yes, I cheated on you." She told me this while crying, said it felt like the ground disappeared under her feet, said she was sure he'd start making excuses. She wanted proof. Instead, she got a confession. The worst part, it had been going on for a long time. More than once. She checked herself into the truth. Now she says she wishes she never knew, that if it wasn't for that test, they'd still be living together, that maybe he would have never confessed. And watching this from the outside, I can't stop thinking. She was so focused on catching betrayal that she stopped seeing the person. I don't excuse him, but her behavior wasn't healthy either. Now she's left with a truth she wasn't ready for. And the realization that sometimes fear doesn't just ruin relationships. It pulls the exact thing you're afraid of into your life.
I slept with married men twice, and I don't feel guilty about it. I'll say this up front. If you're expecting remorse, you won't find it here. I'm not a victim. I didn't accidentally cross a line. I knew exactly what I was doing. Both times, I knew they were married. Both times, I knew they wouldn't leave their wives. Both times, that wasn't my concern. I wasn't looking for a relationship. I wasn't building fantasies. I didn't expect anyone to choose me. I wanted sex. With those specific men. The first one was older, married for years, kids, house, stable life. He didn't complain about his wife, didn't talk about being unhappy. He barely mentioned his family at all. It was clear from the start he wasn't going to change anything, and that worked for me. We didn't go on dates. We didn't text all day. We didn't pretend there was something special. We met, had sex, and went back to our lives. No discussions. No expectations. No future. I never asked what he told his wife. I didn't care. The second man was different, younger, more emotional. Sometimes he said he was tired of his marriage. Sometimes he said he felt alive with me. I listened, but I didn't take responsibility for his feelings. I didn't promise anything. I didn't push him. He came to me on his own. I never texted first. Never demanded time. Never caused scenes. I took what was offered. And only what I wanted. I know there were women somewhere waiting, believing, maybe crying at night. I understand that logically. Emotionally, I don't feel connected to it. That wasn't my life. Not my marriage. Not my choice. I didn't force anyone into my bed. I didn't manipulate. I didn't destroy families with my hands. If a man cheats, that's his decision, his responsibility, his choice. Not mine. People like to say, "But you knew." Yes, I did. That's why I didn't lie to myself. I don't consider myself guilty of someone else's divorce or heartbreak. I didn't promise those women loyalty. I didn't marry them. I didn't swear anything to them. And the most honest thing I can say is this. I don't feel ashamed. There are things I feel shame about. Weakness, fear, moments where I betrayed myself. But this, no, I'm not romanticizing it. I'm not proud of it. I'm simply not carrying responsibility that isn't mine. If someone destroyed a family, it wasn't me. I was part of the situation, not the cause. And honestly, what annoys me most is how easily all the blame gets pushed onto the other woman, as if without her, the man would have been faithful. He wouldn't have. He made his choice, and I made mine.
I kissed my husband's coworker, and now I don't know what to do with myself. My husband and I had been married for 3 years, not a lifetime, but not brand new either. We had settled into routine, work, home, weekends, occasional social life, nothing dramatic, just regular married life. We didn't have serious problems, no cheating, no addictions. He came home, I did my part too, cooking, cleaning, keeping the house running. We argued sometimes, but nothing major. I genuinely thought we were fine. Then a coworker appeared. At first, just a coworker, then a friend. He started coming over to our place after work. Once a week at first. Then more often. Sometimes without notice. Sometimes my husband would text, ____ is coming over, we'll have tea. I didn't mind. It seemed normal. Guys watching football, talking about work. I'm not jealous, never have been. The coworker stood out. Not loud, not arrogant, just well-groomed, clearly takes care of himself, dresses well, nothing flashy. Just confident. He didn't flirt, didn't compliment me, kept things polite. For the first couple of months, I barely noticed him. Then I started catching his looks, not obvious ones, quick glances, look away, then again later. At first I thought I was imagining it, then I realized I wasn't. I didn't like it. I started avoiding him, stayed in the bedroom, pretended to be busy, but every time he came over, I felt it. Something was off. I can't explain it better than that. Eventually I admitted something uncomfortable to myself. I was attracted to him. Not in love, just attracted. As a man. His presence. His confidence. I hated those thoughts. I pushed them away. Told myself it was stupid. I was married. It was just attention I wasn't getting enough of. I didn't act on it. I didn't text him. I didn't flirt. At least not consciously. That evening happened in the dumbest way possible. They came over like usual. Just tea. We sat in the kitchen. Normal conversation. Then my husband got a phone call. Said it was work-related, and stepped into another room. We were alone. At first, silence. Then small talk. We were sitting too close. I knew it. I didn't move away. He looked at me differently. Not like before, and I looked back. He leaned in, and I didn't stop him. The kiss was fast, messy, Not romantic at all. More like something that had been building up. I didn't think. It just happened. I pulled away first. I was scared. Not of him. Of myself. We stood there without speaking. He looked just as shocked. He didn't try again. Didn't say anything. Just stood there. A few minutes later, my husband came back. Sat down. Continued talking. Completely unaware. I sat there trying not to shake. Nothing happened after that. No texts. No conversations. No hints. But the kiss stayed in my head, and that's the worst part. I'm ashamed to look my husband in the eyes. Ashamed that he doesn't know. Ashamed that I smile and act normal. Ashamed that life continues. I don't consider myself a cheater. But I don't feel innocent either. The scariest part is this. I'm not sure that if it happened again, I'd be able to stop it. And that thought scares me more than anything else.